Hey guys, this is going to be a review of Twisted Season 1, Episode 16, The Sun Also Falls. So last week's episode ended with the cliffhanger of Danny telling his mom that he knew that she had moved the body, and like I suspected, she did not. Totally saw that coming, but I find it weird that her immediate assumption was that Jack did it, just because I don't think Jack did do it. It's not necessarily that I'm completely against the idea that Jack would. I don't really feel like we know enough about him to really say for sure whether or not he would move the body. I don't really see it, but I could see it, like I could see that being a possibility, except for the fact that I just don't understand how he would have known about the body, like how he would have gotten it or anything. I don't understand how he would have gotten there, but I guess like that could happen. So I don't know. I don't really think that he did it. And I think that Karen being so sure that he did it just makes it even less likely that he did do it. But who knows? Maybe he did. I don't know, but I don't think he did. I'm leaning more towards the he didn't do it side right now. I'm being really frustrated with Danny not wanting to tell Lacey anything and keep her like continually lying to her, even though he's trying to do what's best for her. But lying to someone like that is just really bad, and it was really frustrating. So I'm actually really happy that she broke up with him. Like, I ship Lacey and Danny together. I want them together on the show, but I am really happy with Lacey for breaking up with him because he wouldn't tell her the truth, because that, I feel, is what she did the right thing, I think. And I still want them together in the future, but I think Danny needs to realize that he can't lie to her all the time. So I'm glad that that breakup happened, actually, which is weird because I want them together. But in this particular case, I thought it was a good thing. So we see Jack's daughter in this episode, and weirdly enough, okay, after the whole thing with Tess having a daughter and whatnot, and I said in my review that she's probably going to show up, and so theoretically I should have been watching, and when some new random girl comes into the show who could feasibly pass for Tess's daughter, I probably should have immediately jumped to that conclusion, but I didn't. It took till after watching the episode and seeing other people speculate that she could be Tess's daughter for that to even occur to me. I guess because I was thinking of her as Jack's daughter, so I was like, well, we know who our parents are, but we don't. So, we do, but she could still be adopted or something. Like, obviously Tess's daughter was adopted, so she would have parents. So that I should have thought about the possibility of her being Tess's daughter, but I didn't. But she's blonde and Tess is blonde, and as far as movies go and casting, that's one of the main things that you can actually do. So I'm holding out that is a distinct possibility that she is Tess's daughter. Now, we had the thing where she said that her mom's boyfriend had came on to her and she was scared they wouldn't take her seriously. First of all, I'm really glad that they did take her seriously, and that was addressed, that if someone comes to you and says that something like that happened, you immediately assume that they're telling the truth. Don't tell them that they're lying and whatnot. Then, that being said, and I hate saying this because I hate that should always be taken seriously, but she did seem kind of suspicious, just kind of like she was fake crying towards the end, which could have also been bad acting, I suppose, but did kind of seem suspicious. So the main reason I'm suspicious about it is because I feel like that wouldn't have been brought up unless it was going to be significant, and so I'm just wondering about that, because I feel like if they were going to bring up the fact that her mom's boyfriend had been coming on to her and all this other stuff, it has to enter into the story somehow, which is why there is a possibility that she's lying, but which I'm not entirely sure if I'm happy about, because I don't like when stuff like that happens and it's someone lying, because I know that's fiction, but sometimes people don't take that seriously enough anyway, and so when you see something in fiction about someone lying, and they just become more convinced that people lie about that all the time in real life, when in reality it's extremely rare that someone actually lies. So I don't know, but I do feel like that will be significant in some way to a later episode, just because it wouldn't have been brought up otherwise. Joe decides to run for president, and she ends up running against Andy. I found it interesting how they were talking about how Joe was almost definitely going to beat Andy, and I don't really get that because Joe started off like not a popular kid, so I don't understand, like, it kind of bugs me having a complete turnaround where someone is unpopular and then they suddenly become popular. I get that there's a lot of drama going on with her and her friends that have kind of like made her get noticed more by everyone, but it was also negative, especially at the beginning, that I can't imagine that it would actually help her become president. So I didn't really get this whole like mindset that she was most definitely going to be Andy until Andy did her speech and didn't exactly do that well. Then maybe, you know, just because her speech didn't go well. But if her speech had actually gone well, I don't see why she wouldn't have had at least some possibility of beating Joe. But that being said, I also thought it was really cute how Joe realized that Andy like really legitimately wanted to be president, and actually like not just to do it, but like because she actually had like a passion for the job, and so she like basically gave the election to Andy. And I thought that was cute and nice, and I really liked that. I also really loved how Rico stood up to Joe and told Joe that, like, basically the truth about you don't really deserve this as much as Andy does and whatnot, because I do think that Rico still has feelings for Joe, even if he's not even like, well, I'm pretty sure he's aware that he still has feelings for Joe, even though he's trying really hard to like Andy. Not that he doesn't like Andy to some extent, but I do think that he still has feelings for Joe. And so the fact that he was able to do that and stand up to her and say that was nice, I thought. And I think we can tell by the end of this episode, like the preview for next week, that there definitely is something up with Charlie, which I've known since he showed up, and I was just kind of waiting for this to happen. So it'll be interesting to learn more about him and what he's up to. He seems to know stuff on Danny too. Of course, either one of them can be lying, so like when Danny and Charlie say things about each other, you never really know which one of them is telling the truth or if they're both lying. So nothing that either one of them says can ever really be trusted. But I probably distrust Charlie more, which maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm just saying that because Danny's the main character and has been around longer, and I should actually be trusting Charlie more than I trust Danny. But there's just something about Charlie that is so off to me that I can't help but distrusting him more. So we'll see what happens. And then this episode ends with Danny getting all angry and driving, and I really thought that he was going to kill himself in that car. But I shouldn't have really been worried about that because there's no way that he's going to die. I mean, end up in the hospital maybe, but nothing's going to happen that actually results in him dying, because that would, I don't know how they would go on from that. But I think that's all. So I will see you guys later. Bye.